Angela, it's so great to have you on board our diversity and inclusion Q&A initiative. So thank you so much for your time. We can't wait to hear your story and to hear your journey. And as mentioned, I set up this initiative to really help inspire and encourage more women in the industry. So we would love to find out a bit about yourself. So firstly, can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and what a typical day as a data platform manager looks like?
Yes, yeah, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's really a pleasure, and I love this initiative that you have. Like when I see your posts on LinkedIn, I'm always like very proud and happy to see it. So good job. And then, yeah, myself. So my name is Angela. I'm originally from Romania, and I work at Trustpilot now in Denmark, in the Copenhagen office. I've been with the company for 5 years and a half, something like that, for a long time. uh, and now my new job title is, as you mentioned, data platform manager, and it's actually very recent. Yeah, my day at work might change in the future, because right now I'm just trying to see what this role means. So it's kind of new for me as well. But in general, like I'm responsible for two teams, and I'm doing the planning. I'm making sure, since we're using a lot of data, I'm making sure that it's all correct. And I mean, nowadays everyone wants to say that data comes first and they use the data, but then when you start to dig into how they use the data, you're like, not really right. You're just trying to find the answers that you want, but they are not necessarily the real answers. So yeah, I'm making sure that we're using the data correct, and we are making it available for everyone, um, inside the company as well as outside the company. So yeah, that's mainly what I do.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, planning and making sure that we are delivering the project that we have, and that we are focusing on the right things, prioritizing, and yeah, so on. The list is long. So,
It's a long list. You keep yourself busy, that's for sure.
yes, and I love that. I love being busy, and especially since I really enjoy what I'm doing, I don't see it as being busy. It's like, no, something else to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. What is it you enjoy the most about your current position, would you say then? I know you're quite new into it, but as a whole, what excites you?
mm, I think I like the overall, like I'm doing a bit of everything, and I really enjoy that. Uh, but I think what I enjoy the most is that we we are sharing the data, so that can be processed by people that are not so much into data, and we are sharing it in a way that everyone can understand. And I really like that. I really like when people are like, oh wow, really, we have this, and we're like, yes, we had this for a long time, but it wasn't available in a way that everyone could access it. So I really enjoy us doing this, and with the teams that have, like, really making the data accessible
Mm.
correctly to everyone.
5 years is a long time to spend in an organization. If you look at typically people stay kind of 2 to 3 years. So what is it about Trustpilot, do you think, that keeps you there, that you enjoy so much as well about the business?
Yeah, every time actually when I mention, even inside the company, when I say I've been for more than 5 years, everyone's like, "Oh, really? Wow, that's a long time." I think that I'm. There are multiple reasons why I stayed in the company for so long, but like the amazing people that I work with, that's great. When I go to work, it's not like, oh,
Mm.
another day at the work. It's like, oh no, I'll go and like build something nice and be surrounded by amazing people. And also the fact that the company grew a lot, so then I had the opportunity to grow with the company, and that's a great opportunity. And I've never been bored for one day, because it's always like something new. We're building something else, we're developing in a different way, and so on. So it, in a way, it feels like, yeah, it's a new company, like every year, because we're the company itself is growing, so I get the chance to grow with it. So I think that's like the reason why I stayed for so long. And also I'm very, I really like the company itself and what we're doing, Trustpilot in itself, like what it's all about, the trust and trying to help people, and I really enjoy that. So yeah, as I said, multiple reasons.
I think it's nice when your work can actually make a positive impact, right, on society, or you can see that it's really making a difference as well. So, from looking at your profile, you've had such an exciting journey in the business, starting as just a developer, going into lead, going into management. How would you
Mm.
define your technical expertise?
uh, if you're asking about like what exactly I know, like what kind of programming languages, I think uh, it's all over the place. Because I mean, yeah, I started in the beginning, I was a .NET developer, so I was doing a lot of C sharp, and then I got more into data, so I started to, yeah, look at the different type of databases that we had. Like we moved from a SQL database to a MongoDB, and then from MongoDB to AWS databases. So I got a lot of yeah, practice and knowledge in that area, which I really liked, and that's how I kind of went more and more on the data side. From .NET moving to um, like I was doing C sharp, then I moved to F sharp because we had some projects in F sharp, and then everyone that knew F sharp left the company. And I was like, okay, I'll take over the project and I'll learn F sharp now. So was like a new challenge.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then moving to more, in the beginning I was a backend developer, then I moved a bit more into front end as well, so learning React and Node.js, and developing in that area with JavaScript and TypeScript. And uh, now, since I'm like moving more into data, learning Python as well, and we're using BigQuery a lot, so get to work in GCP as well. So yeah, it's honestly, it's like constantly learning, and that's what I love, because I can mention a lot of different technologies and programming languages that that I got to learn over the years. And yeah, I think it's like every day you learn something new, and I love that.
Amazing. Yeah, I think personal development is so important, right? Is there like a particular technology that has your heart that you really do enjoy the most, or you like being involved with it all?
Not necessarily. I mean, I like the idea to know about all of these, and then when I have a new project, to try to utilize the best tool for solving the problem that I have at hand. And that's why I really like, I try um, to learn about all the new things, and I'm in different like groups where like I get to look at the news, that like new releases from AWS or from Google, and try to, yeah, see what's new out there, what else I know from my past, and then try to use the right tool for solving the problem at hand.
Mm.
So yeah, I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I mean, I really like using, for instance, DynamoDB when it comes to data, because I know it's great and it's like easy to use and so on. And it all it also comes when you're trying to make something a bit more complicated. It's trickier, and I love that part, that like I get to like think about like how am I going to model my data, so it's like in the right way. So I like that. But otherwise, yeah, I usually try to look at the problem and see what tools do I have
Yeah.
to solve it. Yeah.
Cool. And are you still coding as well then? Going into management now, is that still a responsibility of yours?
Um, I will have to check my contract, but I do it. Yeah, even if it doesn't say it, I definitely still do it because yeah, I enjoy it. And one thing before going into management and getting this title, I wanted to make sure that I will continue to be very close to coding and hands-on on developing things because I don't just want to talk about it, but
Yeah,
also getting my hands dirty when it's the case. Of course, it's less than I used to, but I still do it quite a lot.
great. Yeah, if it's something that you're passionate about as well, that's so important. If you had to say, like, percentage wise, what would be the amount you're still coding right now?
Mm, I mean, it depends on the days because sometimes I have more meetings and I need to think about the planning for the team, making sure that everyone else has something to do. So I actually don't know a percentage. I would I would like to say like a high number just to feel to feel good about myself. Uh, but it's yeah, I would say maybe like 50-50. Let's say 50-50, but I can't say a real number to be honest.
Hold on to
Uh,
that 50-50. We'll go with that.
yes,
But that's great.
yes.
It's awesome that you can still do some coding. And for you, how was your journey to becoming a manager? Spending all of this time being really hands-on, transitioning into more meetings, into,
Mhm.
kind of the people management side of things as well.
Yeah, so I mean, before becoming a manager, I was a tech lead in one of the teams, and when I become a tech lead, we created a new team. I was the first person in that team, and then another developer joined me. So it was kind of my responsibility to create this new team, hire new people, making sure that we have the right culture in the team, and that's how I started to like take more and more responsibilities in that role because I didn't necessarily had all the people around me to help me for like different like we didn't have the product manager for instance, so I took more of those responsibilities to make sure that this team was successful. And uh, yeah, then I hired more people, more developers in the team, and they were always asking me like, oh, can we have a chat with you because we're working with you every day, so you could give us feedback and so on. And that's how I got into the people management, like a bit of experience there with like having these chats which weren't necessarily like part of my responsibility as a tech lead, but somehow evolved into that. So yeah, the role as a tech lead evolved over the time quite a bit, and that's how I got to uh, see how being a manager is like, just by doing more and more, from that role. And yeah, I think I learned a lot in in the previous role that I had, and that helped me into getting now on the yeah in the next journey.
And the rest is history, right? So, yeah,
Yes.
it sounds like it was like a real natural transition from you going from tech lead into management, and that's great for you. What would you say has been the biggest challenge in terms of making that transition, from development to team lead to manager?
um as I said, for me was a slow transition, and it, it was very natural because I mean, I want the team in general to be successful, and I will do whatever is necessary for the team to be successful, whatever that task might be. I'm not going to look at like, oh, but you see, these are my responsibilities. Like I have these dots, and that's all I do. That's not the case. It's like if the team needs, I don't know, someone to bring water to them, I'll bring water to them just to make sure that they are productive. And that's how I grew in the role. I can say that in the beginning I was a bit uh, not afraid, but I wasn't sure if I'll be good at when it comes to the people management, like the soft skills, because I've always been focusing on like being a good developer, like developing myself and focusing on writing the best code and so on. And yeah, when I started to look more into the other side, yeah, I wasn't very sure that I'll be good at it, but then I noticed that, oh, I actually enjoy doing this and helping others and mentoring other people and like trying to help others not to write better code, not just myself,
Mm.
learning how to write better code. So I think that was something that I wasn't sure of, but it was great to have the chance to just grow into that and not just uh, jump right in.
Speaking to a lot of women in tech, they go through similar scenarios, maybe not having the confidence initially. So how did you overcome that, and what would be your advice for people who feeling similar to yourself?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and I would say especially women, yeah, have this fear of like the imposter syndrome that we keep hearing of, right? And something that I would say it helped me, and I still like try to think that way because even now I have a lot of things that I'm not sure of. Is just try it and like not the others don't necessarily know more than you, because it's always that fear that, oh, I'm the stupid person in the room and everyone else knows more than I do, which is not necessarily the case. And if it is the case, then you're just learning. It's an experience, and just learn from your mistakes and move on. And yeah, uh, don't don't overthink it. I think that's something that especially women do a lot. we
Oh yeah,
we overthink the situation, and even when we make a mistake and we say no, I passed over it, and then you go and like rethink the scenario in your head like 100 times how you could have done better. And just, yeah, don't think it, just move on and think about the next thing that you can do better. And yeah, and be confident. I think that's something that helps a lot. Just be confident in what you do.
for sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. I can totally relate with overthinking. I mean, I must do that every week. I think you just can't help it in some cases, but some
Yeah.
really great advice there. And what would you say are three things that you wish you knew at the beginning of your career, looking back now?
Ooh.
Hmm.
um, hmm, that's a tricky one. I mean, definitely, I I would like to know that like uh, something like I really you know things. Don't be afraid of speaking up, uh, because yeah, I think was again that kind of imposter syndrome where you think everyone is better than you, and I definitely had that uh, in the beginning. So yeah, would be nice to hear that no, you actually know things, so just speak up, be be more confident of yourself. um, and what else I would I think that was like my major problem with having this, yeah, not being sure of myself. And I know when people hear this now, they're like, really, you not sure of yourself? But was definitely my biggest problem in the beginning of not being sure that I belong, and not being sure that I actually have the skills to be in tech. And yeah, just try new things. And that's something that I did a lot, but in the beginning I wasn't. Yeah, I was trying to be more of a
Mm,
specialist all the time instead of trying new things. And actually in my career that helped me a lot by learning new things and adapting to new challenges. And yeah, I think that's great to do.
That's fantastic. And I know you touched on personal development earlier and that you're learning every day as well. So, how would you say you are furthering your career right now, where you're at? You know, are there courses that you're doing? What's on your hit list, as it were, to perfect?
Um, yeah, so I'm always looking at the new tools from AWS, for instance, and I'm keeping up with what they are doing because they are constantly developing new cool toys for us to play. I'm actually part of these AWS Community Builders, which is a new program that they created. And there you can find different resources and mentorship and yeah, a lot of people that are amazing and very nice. So yeah, that's one thing that I try to keep myself up to date. And then I'm yeah trying to read a lot, especially on like personal development. That's something that I constantly do, even if maybe some of these books are repeating the same thing. It's always great to listen to some of these books because it just helps you
Mm.
growing, and something that you maybe heard a year ago might not have had an impact, but now with like hopefully you grew in that year and it has an impact. So I like doing that. And then yeah, anything new. It's usually when I get like a new task, I'm looking for, okay, do I know something already that can solve this, or okay, let's look for something new and then just try learning whatever new thing that might help me. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. I would really like to get some certificates as well, but it's always difficult. And since no one is really requiring, it's like, oh, I learned it. I don't need to
Yeah.
to get a certificate. But I think, yeah, I think it helps. So that's something that I would recommend to people. I haven't done it, but I
Go get,
recommend it to
go
others.
get your
Yeah.
certificates. What would you
Yes.
like to ideally get certificates in?
Um, Definitely the certificates that they have at AWS. Since I'm working so much with their technology, I think it would be great to actually have some paperwork on that. Uh, so yeah, that would be great. And now actually in my teams we're also using Salesforce a lot, which is new for me, and I'm yeah trying to learn more on Salesforce. And I was actually looking, okay, can I get a certificate in Salesforce, since I know everyone is talking about it, everyone is very proud of that community. I'm like, okay, since I'm learning now, maybe I should get a certificate or something. But yeah, I haven't planned on it, I just thought about it.
So, for you, would you say there's any game changers in terms of books, talks, podcasts that really helped you along the way in your career as well?
um well, there are a lot of books. As I was saying, I really like the personal development books, and yeah, all these books that like teach you how to be more productive, or uh, yeah. I know the first one that I read in that area was The Power of Habit. Yeah, that was the one. I love that book. It was so good. And I know, like, if like every page I was turning, I would have like different ideas on how to make myself even like yeah more productive and doing more. So really like that. And then another book which I'm actually reading again. I read it like a year ago, and now I started again. It's called Relentless,
Okay.
From Good to Great to Unstoppable. And I really love that book and what they are teaching you of, if you want to be the best in your field, you really need to uh, put the hard work into to actually get there. It's not luck. It's not only talent. It's hard work, and I really like that book and what what they are preaching in there. And then when it comes to technology books, I don't read that many books. I'm mostly reading articles or blogs or like short things. Yeah, I never got really like, I don't know, the passion of reading like a 500-page book of about JavaScript. It's like, no, I'll start writing a program in JavaScript and then learn on the way on how to like become better on that. Um, but yeah, some great um, blogs. It's the one from Jeremy called Off by None, which is really great, and he has great articles. And yeah, if you're into like the AWS tools, he has a lot of articles on how to use it. And I know even for like things that seem like no one thought about, he thought about it. So it's a really good inspiration.
So if you look back, did you always know that working in technology is what you wanted to do?
Honestly, yes. I've started very early on thinking about yeah, being in the tech industry. I've actually went to the IT high school, and I did programming since ninth grade and continued since then. Um, so yeah, and even when I was a kid, it started with playing games, and I was always impressed of like and thinking, how did they do this, how did they develop this, how is it possible to create this sort of thing. So yeah, I kind of knew I wanted this.
Was there anyone in particular as well who inspired you to get involved in the technology space? Any role models that you had?
Well, definitely my first role model was my brother, my big brother, who is also uh, in this industry. So he was my, yeah, the first person to look up to. And I was, yeah, always looking at the things that he was doing when he was in college. He's 9 years older than me, so it's a big difference, age difference. So yeah, I was always looking over his shoulder what he was doing, and I was very impressed with all the things that were developed by him. I know the first time when we had a computer, I was super impressed by paint.
Yeah.
And he was drawing things in paint, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, best thing ever, I want to do this. So,
I can totally relate. Paint was awesome. It was so good. You could spend hours on it, just painting and filling in the
yes.
colours.
And then growing up, I was actually talking to a friend the other day saying that growing up I didn't really had any women role model, because I honestly didn't know about anyone in this field, and it was quite difficult to see myself being up there when it was all men. And yeah, of course I was reading about Bill Gates being great, but I couldn't necessarily relate to that, or like find someone that is closer to what I do or what I like, or continuing to be a girl but be in this industry, you know. So it definitely changed now, and we see more and more women being promoted, and yeah, get being inspired by all these successful women. And what you're doing is amazing, and you're an inspiration for sure. And I, yeah, but growing up, I unfortunately I would say I didn't necessarily had anyone in particular to be like a role model.
Would you say you have some now? Throughout your career journey, you have some women that you think, wow, what they're doing is great, and you can totally relate?
I mean, I'm looking at, yeah, different women, and I see the things that they do, and I'm very proud of where they are.
Mm.
No celebrities, I would say. No one that it's like, yeah, celebrity, but someone that has inspired me a lot is one of my colleagues with which I worked at Microsoft. Her name is Horina,
Mm.
and yeah, she inspired me by how much she worked to get to where she is now, uh, and yeah, she was someone that I looked at, especially when I was working at Microsoft. I was always looking up to her
Yeah,
to see how confident she was in a meeting, or like how she would uh, keep her opinion when everyone was like trying to put her down. So yeah, I really, yeah, admire that about her.
that's amazing. I think it's so important, like we said, that we can help to try and continue to establish role models, particularly for the younger generation. There are still people who are in a similar position to yourself, growing up and maybe not having the women in tech that they could relate to. So, if you think about how you felt and what you went through, what would be your advice to people who feel maybe a little bit alone and don't have those women role models that they can aspire to?
I mean, now, yeah, there are more women being promoted, and I think it's great. And if you feel alone, yeah, join some of these groups that are around, like Women in Tech in Copenhagen. We have that, and it's a group that tries to promote women in this industry and helps the whole idea is to help one another. uh, Also, yeah, if you're new in the industry and you see other women in your company, try to reach out, because I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you and to guide you. And yeah, I can speak about myself. I'm more than happy all the time to try and to help that another women, and try to guide them, because yeah, I've been through many things that weren't great, and I would not like others to go through some of those things. And if I can help with that, yeah, I'll be more than happy myself. So
Amazing.
yeah, one thing, if you feel alone, you can reach out to me as well.
That's fantastic. I think community, that's what's key, right? Community, collaboration, inspiring and encouraging each other as well to achieve great things. So that's fantastic. Anyone watching or listening this, you're not alone. We are here. Also, I just wanted to say a huge congratulations, because I noticed that you've now been nominated for Developer of the Year and Woman in Tech Advocate of the Year at the
Yes.
Nordic Women in Tech Awards for this year. So, what an incredible achievement! Huge
Thank you.
congratulations. What factors do you feel contributed to you being nominated for both of these?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know exactly. I can just say thanks to whoever nominated me. That was amazing when I saw. I never really expected things like that. If I would go back a few years, I would never think about myself in that position of being nominated for anything. Um, Something that I think helped a lot uh, was the fact that I started having some like more public appearances. I started going to conferences, speaking at different conferences where I got to meet a lot of people and hopefully have a good impact there. um, so yeah, and also in getting involved in all sorts of other activities, like promoting other women, being part of mentorship programs. Uh, Really, I think what yeah, impacted me being nominated was the fact that I wasn't just in my cubicle,
Yeah.
but I tried to go out there and share my knowledge and share what I know with the people that wanted to hear about all these things. So yeah, I would say that had a big impact on getting these nominations.
For you, I know you're really passionate about public speaking. So something that I wanted to ask as well is what would be like your top tips for overcoming the initial nerves of public speaking in front of a big audience? Because it's not for everyone and it's not an easy thing. So what are your top tips for this?
Uh, yeah, I mean, something that helps me all the time when I have a presentation is to think that, okay, whatever I'm presenting, I know about these things because I've done them. So whatever I'm saying, I know it's correct. So then why have any nerves? It's like I'm just presenting something that I know to a group of people. It doesn't matter if it's two people or if it's 200 or 800 or so on. I still want to present the right things. So I know I prepare for this, then there's no point in being nervous. I know what I'm saying, it's correct. And that helps a lot because, yeah, when you go on stage, you're usually nervous to not say the wrong thing. But when it's a subject that you know you're passionate about, then you know it. You know the subject, so there's no wrong thing. And even if you say something wrong, it's not the end of the world. You can correct it later, or just, yeah, have another presentation where you'll say, oh, I said something wrong in the other one, but
Yeah.
now I learned more. And I want to say that the other thing that helps when you prepare your presentation, or when you're at least thinking of doing public speaking, is uh, like, you might think that, oh, everything that I know, the others know, and like, what else can I do? And what I always try to think is that if I make one person learn something new, then it's perfect. I did my job. Was a great presentation. You don't have to please everyone in the room. Like, you always have some people that will not like it, or they will not be impressed, or so on, but don't focus on those. Focus on the ones that are actually learning something from you, and just go for that.
Definitely. And what with obviously the pandemic and everything going on and events are now going virtual, do you have any upcoming that you're looking to present at, or that you again have on your hit list that you'd like to speak at?
I don't have anything planned yet, but yeah, I just came back from vacation, so now I'm ready to look for some new opportunities, and yeah, see where else I can present. And yeah, since it's online, it will be different. So that's something I'm looking forward. And yeah, I don't have anything yet,
Cool.
but I'm sure I'll have some soon.
You're
Hopefully,
ready to rock and roll.
yes.
Refreshed from vacation, get me on a stage or a virtual stage. I also just wanted to I guess run this idea past you, because speaking to so many women in tech, the idea of maybe having a family and how to balance, work, your family life, home life, it's quite a scary thought for some people, especially when people are very career driven and they're going into management. So, what would be your advice for anyone feeling slightly nervous to this, on how you can achieve a work life balance?
um, yeah, I mean, I don't have children, so I can't speak from that perspective yet. Uh, but I think it's all about priorities, like thinking what is your biggest priority right now, and just focus on that. Don't try to do everything at the same time, right? Because then you will not finish anything, and you will not be pleased with yourself. I'm very career focused at the moment
Mm.
myself, but that doesn't mean I don't take time off. I think you should always take time off and relax and enjoy the do something outside of work, because then you'll be able to focus even more on what's important to you right now. um, and also, when it comes to career, don't try to do everything yourself. Especially when it comes to management, learn how to delegate, and create a team around you that you trust, and yeah, just collaborate. Don't just try to do everything yourself. And when it comes to home chores and all of that, also delegate. Probably your boyfriend, husband can do some of the things that you think he can't do, but just try it. So yeah, it's all about priorities in the end.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. And how we like to round off part one of our Q&A is just sharing a fun fact about yourself and maybe some of the hobbies that you like to work on as well.
Yeah. Well, some of the hobbies I really like outdoors and going in on hikes and yeah, challenging the people around me as well, and going with me in all my crazy hikes, uh, and yeah, discovering new places and things like that. But when it comes to fun fact, um, well, fun fact: when I was a kid, I used to be a singer, and for a very short period, I was thinking of being an actress.
Nice.
But then programming came into my life and I changed it all.
That's priority now.
Yes,
What kind of
yes.
music was you into, like singing wise?
Was folk music.
Nice. Cool. Do you still sing now every now and again? I guess you can be full-time coder, part-time folk singer now. You can make it work.
Well, yeah, yeah. Maybe do a presentation while like a musical presentation. No, I'll keep my singing for the car.
The
Uh,
shower, you know.
and the shower, yeah, yeah. And I think that that's all for now, at least.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing, Angela. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, hearing about your story. It's so inspiring, and some of the advice you've shared is absolutely incredible. So, can't thank you enough for your time, and I look forward to catching up with you next week, where we can talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much.